How you doing, everybody? And welcome. My name is PeteyTV. I'm here to talk to you all about our Cinderbrew Meadery 12 kill. Now, what ended up happening was I was really looking forward to getting my 3K. I decided I finally wanted to do it, and now I finally have the videos to show you all. So please buckle in, check them out. I'm going to have commentary about certain polls and things we did. If you have any questions or anything, please put them into the comments. By all means, hit your thumbs up, your subscribes, and all that fun stuff. I greatly appreciate you all for checking this stuff out. Enjoy, and I appreciate it. Thank you. And welcome for joining us on this 12 Cinderbrew. Now, let's see what we end up doing here and kind of going through and talking the process. So, we have our tank here that pulls this right side, and we end up lusting. He ends up pulling the groups on the right and one in the center, and we proceed to start doing as much AoE damage as possible. Now, the biggest thing here is we want to make sure that we're using our defensives, we're using our interrupts, we're using anything to stop it from, getting those casts off. Those muscle guys are the ones that are really doing a lot of the hired muscle are going to be doing a lot of damage to the groups, and the tanks mostly. So just be careful of that. So we're going to end up grabbing this other group here. And we're going to continue to AOE. By now, the lust is starting to wear off or is off. So we're going to try to be a little bit more cautious as we're pulling here, and we're continuing to pull. Now, the only other mobs that are really, really hard to deal with here are the muscles, and then the interrupts from the pyromaniacs, which we end up making sure we're doing there. And then you also are going to get these dots for if you're a tank from the patrons in the group. So you got to be careful of them. Now, as usual, we get Chewy. And since it is a 12 group, we kind of want to make sure that we're using defensives on his AoE shouts. We're going to end up making sure we're DPSing throughout this process. Now, I end up using my cooldowns almost every single time they're up, just because we want to burn through as much of this beginning process as we possibly can. That includes also using trinkets, and we're going to end up continuing to DPS. I'm going to try to make sure that I'm always doing steady shot on move, aim shot as we're staying close, using my volleys when that's going down. So we're kind of just going through the regular process. Now we're going to end up flipping around. We're going to end up pulling that last little bit of group here. Now we're going to end up AoEing with our regular aim shot, multi-shot, and then using the steady shots to fill it up. Every time rapid fire is up, I'm going to be using that. Trying to always make sure in between a rapid fire and also on an aim shot, I'm using multi-shot to get my trick shots going. When volley goes off, I make sure I go right into either double aim shot or a rapid fire aim shot, another aim shot to maximize the amount of damage that we're going to end up getting there. Now we're going to go after the boss here. So we're going to grab him and we're going to pull over to the left. The reason for that is we want to keep the droplets on the ground from the Cinderbrew being put there. It is going to be casted on 2 of the members of your group, so you just want to make sure you notice that. When you get the dot placed on you, I would recommend using some type of defensive or healing to get through that process. Now, we're going to end up going through that with this, as usual. I'm just continuing to do my rotation, and we're just kind of going through and DPSing as hard as we can. So after this is done, we end up getting them down to about 60%, which isn't too bad. I'm going to end up grabbing one brew. I'm going to run it to the side. We end up having one of our tanks run into the other side. And then, as you can see here, we move to the other side. Those windstorms, which ends up picking up from this boss, they appear on players. So you really want to be careful of that. You really want to be careful of the frontal. He does a lot of damage to the tanks themselves. So you want to make sure that you're rotating your defensives on those keg smashes, and everyone else is using defensives also whenever they have something available. Once we end up getting to that other percentage, we end up starting the same exact process over. We kind of run to the beginning. We're going to end up taking our kegs. We're going to go to our designated sides to making sure all that's done. As for me, I didn't have to run for any of them because they all move so quick. And now we're going to end up finishing up the process through this. So we're just going to continue to do the rotations, and which aren't too bad whatsoever. Now, as you can see, we're just kind of going through the aim shot process. We're going through the arcane shots, trying to use my explosive aim shots as often as I can with full rapid fire on there to increase the damage of those. So we're going to be going to the IPA group of things. We did not have a person that could mind soothe or anything to get past that first group, so we ended up just taking it. We have a lot of AoE damage, so I really wasn't too worried. So here we're just going to continue to do as much as we can. We want to make sure that the what's it called, the hop goblins are being put to the closer walls so they're easier for AoE. We are focusing the explosive brews whenever they come out. Usually melee takes care of those, as the caster or people that have to cast anything, for instance my aim shot, it just takes too long for it to come down. So we usually designate the melee to kind of take care of those as it's going through. Now I'm trying to make sure I end up using my my trank shot to remove some of the debuffs. As you can see here, we have 3 hobgoblins. We have a lot of damage being thrown around. We're continuing to do the moves that we end up needing to do, and we end up continuing to DPS. We're trying to make sure that we interrupt the scientist at all time. As you can see, the scientist is probably one of the people that we want to make sure we get rid of first, because those failed batches are going to insta-kill if we don't get them done. So thankfully, we end up getting those done, and we're going to continue to deal with those hobgoblins here. Now, the hobgoblins themselves are they're easier to kill. It's just a dodge a move. Then you're going to defeat the brew drips and go through there. Thankfully, the boss, when you kill, I should say, the mobs, when you kill the hobgoblins, they end up not having the spawning of the extra brews anymore. They did nerf this dungeon a little bit, which is nice. So it's a lot easier for many people, but at the same time, it still has a lot of difficulties if you have low AoE damage, which is something I would recommend people making sure you keep an eye out on. So as you can see, we're actually doing this at 150% speed if you're viewing it. That's why I'm talking real fast as we're going through. So just got to make sure we keep an eye on it. So I ended up sending the hobgoblin far away just so that we can deal with these guys a little bit easier. So these guys are all going to be doing their thing. Once the guy comes back, we're going to do another AoE. We're going to do my aim shot, then a steady shot, and then another aim shot, or vice versa, trying to maximize the trick shots. Now, we're going to do another run into the wall, and we're going to keep going pretty good. And what we're doing here is we end up pulling the first couple of groups from inside the room into here, because that way we don't have to worry about backing into another group or having to deal with something else randomly. So we just try to keep an eye on that stuff as it's going through. Now, as we can see here, they end up pulling another group, and it's all on the inside since we've cleared enough space here to deal with that. So we're just going to continue to do our interrupts. Nice little sunfire, I think it is called. I'm blanking on the name of it. Getting that interrupt. Here's another failed batch. Putting them into the wall far away so we can deal with that later. Because that hobgoblin essentially stays with you throughout this whole entire portion of the left side of the dungeon. You just AoE it down with everything else because it's really not that difficult to work with. Another failed batch. Some more aim shot rapid fires into this. Now we got those circles, which are essentially removed. And we're trying to go through this pack as easy as possible so that we can get onto IPA. IPA, for us, if I recall, it wasn't that difficult to go through, but it was just one of those things where you just gotta, be on top of your game when you're going through it. So here you are. So we're gonna end up lusting again, and we're just gonna start DPSing as hard as we possibly can on IPA. I'm holding a lot of my AoEs, meaning I'm holding my volley and my aim shots and things like that, but I wasn't holding my other things. So I push them all together, volley, and then I just try to AoE down as super quick as I can. As you can see, the explosive shot, the explosive aim shot, all those things go off really, really quickly, and I can take care of the ads, which is the one thing that I really designated myself as wanting to make sure I took care of, because my single target nearly isn't as great as the others that are in this group. So I ended up making sure that I can end up doing that, trying to make sure that I'm moving, using a defensive, healing myself, so on and so forth. I end up using binding shot. I end up trying to push them all together. I end up, using my rapid fires, trying to make sure that I AoE those groups down pretty easily. Mud, who's playing as our druid right now, he ends up doing really good with his moonfires and starfires to make sure those guys go down. So we're going to go around trying to take care of that stuff. Now, the aim shot, steady shot, going through, not too shabby. Now, we're going to end up having a lot more ads here to deal with. I'm going to knock them back into what was an Ursox. My biggest issue was that they nailed it actually outside my volley, so nothing really touched my volley. We had the one dewdrop. Now remember, you never want a dewdrop to go over any of those pools, because if you end up doing that, they have an increased speed and increased damage, so it's not great to have. So here's another spouting. As I said before, it is a little bit more difficult because it is a lot going on. So at this point, we just ignore the ads because he's so close to dead, and we just DPS straight on boss, and he goes down pretty quickly. And now we're going to go to the other side. My biggest issue throughout this whole entire dungeon was that I don't know why my single target decreased so much. I have to end up really looking at logs and seeing what happened, and it was kind of something that annoyed me, but you know, it's not that crazy a situation. So here is more things to deal with. We're just making sure we're AoEing stuff down with the bees, making sure we're getting as many interrupts on the Wranglers as possible. The Purifier is the same deal. You want to make sure you're doing that. Now, the tank itself, Risen, he's pretty much a beast when it comes to dealing with large groups. That's something that I'm not accustomed to, is how to survive with pulling larger groups of mobs. So that's something I am learning. So here is another situation where we're going through. Now this pull is this whole corner. So it's 2 packs on one side, 2 packs on the other, and we're just pulling it all together and AoEing it down. And I'm pretty much taking the hit with the bazooka, and we're kind of just making sure that we're trying to take all the mobs down and stuff like that. My son came over and was talking to me in the middle of this pull, or my wife, I don't remember which, but we ended up getting all that stuff down. And now we've got a Wrangler, we've got a Worker Bee, so a little bit easier. So we're going to continue to push on getting this stuff in and down. So this is going to be a good moment to tell you all that, right now we're trying to go through the process of getting 3K. We have it now, but I'm going back and I wanted to make sure that everyone can see the videos and we got to talk about it, because 3K, I feel right now, is very accessible for a lot of people. And if people see how things are going, how people are doing polls, and how people are talking about things, it really does help and show. And as always, make sure, you can ask questions or whatever you want in the comments. Make sure you hit that subscribe button or join or follow, whichever you're looking at. We're on Twitch and on YouTube every single Monday through Friday, so it's not too bad. We have lots coming out. We got some Let's Plays. We got some more dungeon keys. We got lots of stuff for WoW and stuff like that. Make sure you dismiss any pets on that jump right there. A lot of people do that. Make sure you don't go to the right side. A lot of people end up going too far onto the right side. They end up pulling the mobs on the stairs. It's just not a cool thing to do. So we're going to end up making sure we DPS here. We're going to end up making sure we do their volleys. We're just going to continue to do our aim shots, our multi-shots, and we're going to continue. Once 2 mobs come out, it's just me doing single target. As you can see there, I did like a 5 mil pull, which isn't too bad. So here is Buzzbee. Now we're going to end up moving him to one side. Risen is taking the Moltons there and then moving them. Once we end up getting a Cinderbrew down, we're going to end up jumping on it. We're going to try to jump on it, but it was in this really weird spot and I couldn't click on anything. Once you end up jumping on it, you end up taking care of the barrels. The barrels are taken care of and we don't have to worry about them. I don't know why, but it always takes me a little bit to get them going. He's going to pull that other B pack there with this boss right now, which works pretty well for me because it allows me to AoE a little bit more. Anything more than 3 works for me. And I know that rhymes. So we're going to make sure we're just going to follow and continue to do our rotations. I was also told that Black Arrow is supposed to be really, really good for doing keys and things like that, but it really doesn't work well. The DPS difference is so noticeable. I would not recommend that right now. It's definitely continuing to do with the same thing it was before. Then we're just going to do another rapid fire aim shot. Steady shot. Going through, trying to make sure that, we get all of our mobs together and AoE them all down. I finally get my True Shot aura back, making sure I'm using defensives and healing myself. Make sure you're using defensives and healing yourself. People do not realize how much that matters. You really need to take into account those things. All right, taking care of that. I use camo because I don't want to be that guy. And as for now, we're going to go up top and we're going to end up going after Goldie. Now, Goldie, as you know, is, the last boss, but we got this other pack in front of it. We already have 100%, so it really doesn't matter. So we're just going to end up trying to get down as whatever we can right now. Just getting this done. We have 10 minutes still on the clock, which is really, really good, which kind of shows how much DPS our group is doing here in comparison to the dungeon itself. I feel personally this is a very heavy AoE dungeon in comparison to others. So I try to make sure that I kind of facilitate that when I'm kind of going through it all. With this, you're going to end up wanting to single target one mob into the next mob into the next mob, which is what we continue to do. And then we're going to take down this boss, this last mob here. And we're going to go right into the boss. Now, the boss itself, what we end up making sure we do is I make sure that I end up trying to not touch anything that I shouldn't be touching. Now, the biggest thing is that you realize that every single time a bomb breaks, it opens north-south. So when you have to when it opens up north and south, east and west, it comes out from all corners. You'll know where things are. So if you can preemptively stand in a location that you need to stand to be aware of that, do that so you can continue to DPS and not have to move. It's really beneficial to casters. It's really beneficial to healers and things like that. So you don't have to worry about it too much. So here we go. We're just going to continue to AoE and going to push through. Aim shots are going out. And we're going to be at 45%. So it's working out pretty well. Now the tank itself is the one that is targeting all the barrels. We were asked to not take barrels. Pow didn't listen, so that's pretty standard for him. So we made sure we just continued to DPS as this was going on. And like I said, Risen took care of those barrels so easily, we really don't even have to worry about any of that stuff. So I'm just going to continue to go and DPS whatever we can do. And we're going to kind of take them down, 20%. We had 0 deaths this run, which is pretty good. And I want to say thank you to Pow and Zaf and Mud and Risen for helping kind of push through and getting these keys, because I really wanted to get this stuff done. So I greatly appreciate it. And as you can see, we're kind of just going right through it, taking them down 2, 1, and done. So good deal. Hope you all enjoyed the Cinderbrew Meadery 12. We have lots of other videos that are coming. We have Floodgate, Priory, Rookery, all of them, from 12 plus, some 13s, and so on and so forth. And the higher keys we go, I'm going to end up making videos on them also with full commentary, just so people understand and see what's going on. So you all can also get your 3K IO and get your mounts and so on and so forth. So thank you again, everyone, and enjoy the rest of the videos. Please make sure you subscribe and thumbs up, and hopefully you can watch many, many more videos here. Thank you.